Hey everybody, it's Dr. Law. I wanted to make a video this week with the relapse management discussion, more specifically on a relapse model that I learned a few years ago. Um, First off, when it comes to dealing with setbacks, it doesn't matter if you're working with somebody with substance abuse or any other kind of addictive pattern or behavior, or somebody who is depressed or has post-traumatic stress or anything. It's anything where we see that the client has made some kind of progress and then all of a sudden they've had a setback. This is to be expected. Part of this we can watch in the stages of change process. If you haven't heard of the stages of change theory, it's something that's really helpful to look at. But ultimately, stages of change is kind of a multi-phase process that people go through, not just our clients, but us as well. Has been identified. And these phases are interesting. So the first part of the phase is, somebody's being confronted with a behavior or something that's maladaptive. And the first phase is denial, like many things. And denial is, it looks a lot like a person is unwilling or unable. So it could be either or both, to look at what the problem is or to even see that a problem is there. So that'll look also like a lot like blaming others or blaming situations for their situation. So a lot of their internal locus of control is not there. Their locus of control is external. And as we work with the client using whatever method, then we move into the pre-contemplative stage. Pre-contemplation is, I think there might be a problem, and that problem might be me. But they quickly jump back to denial. And that's due to discomfort, guilt, shame, anything. There's all kinds of stuff. Then as they move on from pre-contemplation, they move to contemplation. And with contemplation, it's, yeah, there's something wrong. And I know I need to do something. I just don't know what it is. And then they move into preparation. There definitely is a problem, and I want to do something about it. I just don't have the skills or the ability. But I'm ready, I'm able, and I'm willing. So you almost see kind of this growth pattern of humility. And humility means ability to learn or to be taught. And then finally, once you're in a past preparation stage, you're in the action stage. And in action, they're actively working on whatever the problem is. And then finally, once they are working and being active, it's maintenance. And maintenance is an interesting process because it allows for us to be imperfect. It expects it. And by that I mean there's going to be lapses or relapses in judgment, in behavior, in symptoms. There's going to be setbacks. It's normal. It's okay. And so that's the stages of change model. So let's move into kind of an relapse management model. And I'm going to use an example of somebody who's struggling with an addiction or any kind of addictive patterns of behavior. So let's say they're working through the stages of change, they're working on it, they're in the action stage and even in maintenance, and they're remaining sober from the behaviors as well as the actual addictive action. And as they go along, they experience what we call SUDs, seemingly unimportant decisions. And with those seemingly unimportant decisions, it could be very simple things. They receive a text from a friend that they used to drink with. Let's go with alcoholism. Or they go to the grocery store and they happen to pass by a place where they typically go and get alcohol. Or there are little tiny things that just remind them. Now, this is normal. This is life. But what happens is if they are not engaging in coping as well as self-awareness exercises of, oh yeah, I just remembered, I just passed that place. I used to go there all the time. Okay, I need to just remind myself that if I start having urges, it's just my pattern. That's all it is. So there's going to be lots of these little seemingly unimportant decisions, and if coping is not done, if whatever exercises they've learned in counseling are not engaged in, they can have a lapse. And a lapse is where it's just a one-time thing, where they might run out and go drink for a night and come home and just feel absolutely horrible. So, but the same thing still applies. What do they do with it? Do they cope? Do they engage in the activities and the counseling skills they've learned? Or do they continue on with the lapse and have a full-on relapse, which relapse is just continued behavior? Or do they cope? Do they cope with also the guilt and shame that is caused? Do they learn from it and move back into sobriety again? And with sobriety, again, there's seemingly unimportant decisions, just like I talked about. And they continue to cope, they have more self-awareness, they keep working, and they keep gaining an internal sense of, I got this. I've got the skills I need, I've got the support I need, I can do this. And even if I have a lapse, whether it's a lapse in just behavior or judgment or something, I can still get back on the wagon and I'm good. And so those are two models combined. That's the stages of change and then this relapse and lapse model. That's very helpful for us as we're trying to understand our clients. I hope you find this helpful. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please feel free to post them in the thread. I look forward to working with you all this week.